Hello and welcome to this collective tarot reading where we will be discussing the missing piece and your current situation. So, this reading is for those who have been putting in steady effort and now wondering where is it all leading to. There's a feeling here of doing what you're supposed to do, to sticking to what you're supposed to stick to, and still sensing that something is off. So, the work that you've done is real. The uncertainty is real too. So for those of you who are new here, my name is Lady Andromeda, and this is Natural Witch Tarot. And I focus on slow, reflective readings. I like to take my time and mull over the cards and see what energies I can pick up as opposed to off-the-cuff readings. So let's get into it, shall we? The very first card that I pulled is the Seven of Coins. The Seven of Coins is giving me a lot of feeling. Seven is the number of assessment. It asks us to pause, and to take stock. So, this card speaks of long-term effort and care. What it raises now really is a simple but uncomfortable question. And that question is this really worth tending? The missing piece here with this card is not more effort, okay? What's missing here is clarity. This card suggests that what some of you are feeling is not failure, but a need to look honestly at whether what you're invested in can still grow. Are you continuing out of habit, especially a habit that's no longer satisfying? So for some, this may look like staying in a job or staying in a relationship or keeping a routine because you worked hard to build it, even though it's no longer making you feel alive. I get that. For some of you, it may be realizing that doing the right thing for a long time doesn't automatically mean that it's still the right thing now, okay? The next card that I pulled is the Two of Wands. Can you see that? And with the Two of Wands in reverse, the two is a number of choice and direction. And with it being in reverse like this, that's showing that you have a blocked path. And this points to indecision. Not because you're incapable of making a choice. It suggests that the options in front of you no longer feel right to you. The old ways of doing things, of committing yourself, of planning, of choosing, they don't fit anymore. So what this card clarifies is something that's important. And that's with the Two of Wands in reverse, the pause that you're in is actually a meaningful pause, okay? This is telling you that moving forward without changing the framework would only repeat what already isn't working for you. The missing piece here is not having more courage to decide, but context of what you're doing. For some of you, this is going to show up as knowing you need to make a decision, but none of the available options sit well with you. You may feel pressure to pick something just so that you can move forward, even though your hesitation is really just signaling that something about the setup itself needs to change, okay? The very next card that I pulled, so you can see that, is the Knight of Wands. It says rods, but it's wands. And the Knight of Wands, this really brings a lot of movement into the reading, okay? The Knights are about action. They're also, with the Wands, it's about fire and it's about motivation, okay? And the energy here is showing me that there is definitely desire here to act. It's showing that you want to break the stalemate, that you want to move again. But this Knight is not about acting impulsively. There's no impulsive action here. It's asking you actually for honest alignment with what matters. What has changed is not really your ability to act. You know, the movement, you can act. What's changed is your willingness to move without purpose. So you're no longer interested in just movement for movement's sake, okay? So the missing piece here is not having bravery to move. It's direction that actually makes sense to you now. So for some of you, this may feel like being restless, or for some of you, you may be feeling impatient, yet, you know, you're unwilling to leap unless the steps are level in front of you and feel true. You may feel ready to act, some of you, but only if the action serves who you are now, not who you used to be. That's what's important. The next card that I pulled is the Three of Swords in reverse. Get that up. Not too close. That's close enough. The Three of Swords in reverse. Now, this is a shifting in the reading itself, because this is what's the focus on healing, okay? Healing right here. Healing here. Okay, 3 is the number of connections and communications. So when the 3s are in reverse like this, it speaks to old pain, okay? Old pain it's no longer raw, you know, it's no longer fresh pain, it's old pain. But it's pain that's still remembered, right? And this can point to the rebuilding of relationships for some of you. For some of you, this is repairing, the repairing of how you understand past hurts, okay? This card, I don't get the sense that this is a promise of full resolution from this card, but it does suggest something a bit more realistic. You may be ready to stop reopening old wounds, even if they still hurt, which is a good thing. Okay, that's a great thing. Rebuilding doesn't mean restoring things necessarily to how they were before the hurt, but it does mean a decision is made that you can move forward with being honest about how you feel. For some of you, this may show up as letting go of resentment, which is always good. For some of you, this is more about reconsidering an old conflict or how you felt about that conflict. Or for some of you, it's deciding that you no longer need to keep explaining or reliving what hurt you. So that's good. It can also, for some of you, look like quietly resetting boundaries without needing closure or an apology or apologies from others. So, yay. And the final card that I pulled for something that's missing is the High Priest in reverse. Can you see that? Yeah. The High Priest is a major arcana card, and the High Priest is tied to authority and tradition and rules. So in reverse like this, it signals a turning away from what was once stable. That can be guidance, but basically what once worked isn't working anymore. Now, for some of you, that might feel unsettling because you're used to what worked. Something that you relied on no longer holds the same weight that it once did. So what I get from the High Priest in reverse, that the missing piece here is permission. And by that, I mean permission to trust your own judgment, your own discernment, instead of what was inherited, rules that were inherited, if you will. This permission to question what you were taught, to accept without giving it any thought. This is not about losing your direction. This is a shift. This is a shift where authority comes from for you. And on a personal level, this may mean questioning advice that you've always followed from others, roles you've assumed were permanent staples not being so, or for some of you, beliefs that once made sense no longer fit who you are. So, this is about giving yourself permission to trust your own judgment. Some of you may be realizing that someone else's structure just can't carry you forward anymore. So, when I take all these cards together, this reading is not a light one, but it is grounded. There's some strain here, of course. There's also some confusion, but there's also strength in here. So that is a good thing. And although the good present here may be quieter than the difficulties, it's solid enough to work with. So the guidance it gives me is very direct. And basically, just in a nutshell, stop investing your energy into systems that ask you to ignore what you already know. Let choices wait until they fit the person you are now. Not the one that you were when this began. Repair what can be repaired without forcing the past to return, and always use discernment over just following what others have given you to follow, okay? So, if this reading has resonated and you're seeking something more personal, I do offer private tarot readings. They are available in written form or also audio recordings that are delivered via MP3 format. You can find out details in the comment section below on how to get your reading. I like to keep my work intentional and unhurried. So this is Lady Andromeda at Natural Witch Tarot. Thank you for sitting with this message. Be blessed, fellow life travelers.